everyone. My name's Katty Wang, and I'm on the Vancouver Startup Week team. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we're grateful to be virtually gathered on Indigenous land, regardless of where you are joining us from. I am grateful to be on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish peoples. I'm privileged to live, work, and play on these lands. First, I would like to thank you for joining the VSW 2021 and welcome to Story of a Beverage Company from Sour to Sweet, hosted by Lula Natural Foods, formerly known as Route 18 Real Food. This session is a part of the VSW Founder Track and is proudly supported by Sage Accounting. Sage knows you didn't start your business to become an accountant. Sorry for any accountants out there. Sage Accounting keeps your business organized and running smoothly. Track your cash flow, send out invoices, and get paid quickly. Visit the Sage Accounting booth to access free guides and templates for starting your business finances the right way. Plus, get an exclusive VSW discount if you're ready to switch from Excel. I also want to thank Lula Natural Foods for being our event partner, but also a sponsor. VSW could not happen without the continued support from our community sponsors. This session is also part of VSW Experience Package, which we're excited to have for the first time this year. For those who have a box, please feel free to join in on the interactive portion of the session at the end and share your experience with us on social media by tagging us at Van Startup Week. During the session, if you have any questions for our speakers, please post them in the Q&A session on Whova, and you can also upvote your questions. So now we can begin. Hi, Rhoda.
Hey, Katty, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, really good.
I'm really happy that I get a chance to, host this fire chat with you during VSW. We go way back. I think I met you in 2015 when I was running my real estate company, and we worked together for a few years. And then the funny thing is that, we both got distracted sometime around 2017, and we didn't talk to each other, I remember, for about 6 months. And then before I know it, I start seeing you posting selfies with bottles of apple cider vinegar in front of Savon's, going all excited. So so I just wanted to kind of take you to the beginning of the story. So why apple cider vinegar, and what makes you decide to start a beverage company?
Yeah, it was all, real estate got me here. Basically, back in 2017, really busy realtor, not feeling really fulfilled with what I was doing, and just low energy because I was living in drive-throughs and eating all the wrong food. So it really all started at a coffee date with a good friend, April Angelini, who is also my co-founder. April. Long story short, I met April for coffee, and she, we were talking, and April has a son. He lives with autism. His name is Noah. And she had just made this correlation between what Noah was eating and his moods and his behavior. And if she stopped feeding him things like gluten or carbohydrates, he would sleep better and he was much calmer. And she was so excited about this revelation that it turned her life around. And she started to dive down deep into holistic nutrition. So she had this Brendan Brazier cookbook with her when I met her. And I remember she sharing it with me. Brendan Brazier, of course, one of the co-founders of Vega, vegan athlete. And anyway, she was just gotta try some of these recipes. And she had brought me these weird mushrooms that she had made. And for me, it was just just a whole new world, right? So long story short, as I say, she was just so enthusiastic. I left, took the cookbook, brought it home to my house. My teenage daughters just dove into it, and we just started to change our diets. And just through that, I think that we were wow, lo and behold, all of a sudden we felt better, we had more energy. And the next coffee date I had with April, we were you know what, we're going to start a healthy quick service restaurant. Both of us being entrepreneurs, lifetime entrepreneurs, we're let's just do this. We don't know what we're doing, but let's just go for it. So we started to build this business plan, and we reached out to everybody that we knew. And of course, April was already in the restaurant industry. for years. So she, knew a lot of people. And as we're building this plan and just sort of researching healthy foods, we ran into apple cider vinegar. And we were like, oh, we've like heard this stuff is good for everything, right? Like cleaning your counters and everything, right? Like good for gut health. Like something's wrong, drink apple cider vinegar, right? That's what you hear. So we're like, okay, something's got to be, let's try this. So we started taking apple cider vinegar for a couple of weeks, and we noticed, like, no more sour gut, and it just really made a difference. We're like, wow, this stuff really works, but it tastes like crap. So long story short, we just jumped into the kitchen and decided we were going to just try and reformulate it, and we were going to put it on the menu on this restaurant journey that we were doing. Anyways, formulated it and made this concentrate, and it tasted amazing. It was quite low in sugar. So we decided to ditch the restaurant idea and go with the apple cider vinegar. And so we got some bottles, put it into a bottle, got some labels off my printer, and of course, bought a tent, bought a table, where this is going, off to the farmer's market, right?
Right.
So White Rock Farmers Market with our kids, both of us were single moms, and just like off to the farmer's market and to see whether people actually were as into this as we were. And lo and behold, people were super interested. And we're selling out every weekend, and we were like, this is kind of cool. We're onto something. About 2 months in, we landed our first retail store, which was a little coffee shop in Ocean Park called Ethical Addictions, right? We were like, yes, this is awesome, right? And actually a buyer from Save On Foods went in and bought a bottle and loved it and reached out to us and invited us to their buy local program.
Oh.
And at that point, we kind of thought, wow, this is interesting. Like this is something, I think there's more to this. And
right.
The business just built by then. And that's when I started, posting, and you and I connected, and yeah, that's sort of where it started.
Wow, that's perfect. Yeah, before we dive into like kind of like your journey of like how you expanded from like farmers market, you touched base briefly on the like the health benefit of apple cider vinegar. I started my journey in 2019, started to like really watch out on what I eat, and then really trying to learn the impact of sugar and flour to your body and things like that, and basically cleaned up my diet. So can you like touch base a little bit on what exactly does apple cider vinegar do? And so when you say you started taking apple cider vinegar, what does that mean?
Yeah, so we went online and we did a little bit of research, and we heard that, 30 mils a day is probably great. Take it, blend it in some water in the morning and then in the afternoon. And apple cider vinegar, first of all, is a natural prebiotic. It gets this prebiotic fiber actually from pectin, which comes from fermenting the apples, comes from the apple peel. And it turns into basically what they call the mother, right? So when you drink unpasteurized apple cider vinegar mixed with water, always blended down with something, it goes into your gut and it stimulates your stomach acid and it promotes a healthier gut. There's a little bit more to apple cider vinegar than just that. Actually, apple cider vinegar, when you drink it, the acetic acid actually affects an enzyme called AMPK, and AMPK is like our body's natural fuel gauge.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, when you drink apple cider vinegar, it senses that you're low in energy, and that when activated with the ACV, it signals our body to stop storing fat and to start burning it. So it's actually quite amazing for blood sugar, lowering your blood sugar. It's also, of course, great for just, controlling your appetite, that kind of thing. Natural digestive, because of the stimulation in your gut, it actually helps. I always say, like, prebiotics and probiotics, people always want to know, is apple cider vinegar and kombucha, are they the same things? And they're actually different. They are different, but they work together in a way that prebiotics is like, we always say prebiotics is like tilling the soil, and the probiotics from the kombucha, which is live culture, is like the planting the seeds, right? So they work together. You have to have a healthy gut to accept the probiotics. So,
Right.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I guess when you start a apple cider vinegar company, you have to know a lot about apple cider vinegars and really be passionate about it. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so
you
I
do.
think, yeah, we touched base when you were already in a few farmers market, right? So I guess, because I guess the attendees for Startup Week, we like, people are very interested in how you can grow a company and how you can
Right.
take it from, let's say, from your own kitchen, because that's really where you started, to like, multiple retail stores in all over BC. And I think you are outside of BC now.
Yeah, we're actually all the way to Manitoba, and we're going to be launching into the east third quarter this year.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I think people would be interested in knowing exactly like how you brought your product from a tent at a
Yeah.
farmer's market being sold out every week,
Yeah.
making products in your kitchen to, expanding to Ontario, like to majority of the Canada.
Yeah, like, and we knew nothing. So, I mean, it all started with when we, were approached by Save-On. I mean, we had to like hustle, and we really had to backtrack a bit and look into like regulatory stuff. So, we had to start working in a commissary kitchen with Fraser Health approved, like all those things checked off the box. And I think that, one of the best, I think, pieces of advice that I got from when we first started was when we were at the farmers market, the relationships you build there. There's always people that have been doing it for a long time that just want to help you and just want to reach out and just, also like this one lady, Kicks Lemonade. Her name is Karen. She's amazing. She came up to us with a card and she said, listen, you guys, this is awesome. You need to join the Small Scale Food Processing Association. And, you need to have a group of, connections that will help you grow this and give you like a roadmap, because there's all sorts of surprises in this industry. And that was awesome because she gave us the card and we were like, oh, she's $98 for a whole year. It's the best $98 you'll ever spend. And I agree with her 100%, right? So of course we did that right away, and we found out all sorts of things that we needed to do to get prepared to be into stores, insurance and regulatory, label, of course, everything with this Canada Food Inspection Agency, our labels, we were doing our labels on the printer. And the way we started was we just copied, we went out and said, oh, here's this product on the shelf and this is what they've got on their label. Like, let's just copy this and put it onto our label, right? We had no clue. And then we had to build things out like sell sheets, in which we did that too. We would copy, we would go and find some sell sheets from somewhere else, and we would just kind of copy the information that these companies had put out. And then also things like, terms and conditions, that kind of stuff. And then one of the things too is that I could sort of lean on my real estate background with contracts and just reading things and fine print and stuff. So that was my thing. And then April, partners this is so important too, of course, who you partner up with. She was big on the sales and people and just relationships. And so we sort of had that balance, so that both of us had sort of different skills. So yeah, that joining the Small Scale Food Processing Association, that was the first step. And then through the small scale, of course, everybody wants to help you, because they have this members forum where you can actually just send emails to everybody. Hey, everybody, I'm just starting out and I need to know, what do I need to do this? And then 1,000,000 people will send you emails back, and everybody wants to help. Right? It's just the most awesome thing. And so that's really how we ended up getting from like the farmers market, into stores and just checking all the right boxes to make sure we're doing the right thing. And then I think that we were so passionate about the product and we weren't afraid. We just said, okay, we got to take this product and now we got to sell it into stores. How are we going to do that? Just boots on the ground, bunch of samples, just get the word out. Just go right into the stores and just say, who's your buyer? Like, can I leave them some samples? And then get a card and just follow up and just be really diligent and really fearless about that. And again, just like connecting with other, merchants at the farmers market. Like, how did you guys get into Sobeys? How did you get into these little stores, right? Do you have a contact for me? And everybody, collaborations, relationships are everything in this industry. I think relationships are everything, like in every industry, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's really, that was sort of like how we got from, just an idea
Mhm.
into like a business, was just that roadmap that we created.
Right. So you started having, let's say, so when the buyer of Save On Food first reached out to you, can you share like how many bottles were they thinking of purchasing? Like, how many bottles were you kind of like selling at farmers market? And like, is it a larger amount? All of a sudden you like have to figure out exactly how to like produce a lot more product than you originally expected?
You know what? The farmer's market, because you're selling direct, so you're
Mhm.
making a better margin. So this is where you start to go, oh, margins, like Save On Foods now, we have to give them a cut. And so it's got to be cheaper. So you have to, like, when you first start out pricing your product, I use something called Recipel. There's a couple of other, online recipe building, formulation building type programs that you can use. But Recipel will basically, you plop in all of your ingredients and it tells you what the cost of each product is. And then down at the bottom, you can actually figure out your margins. Okay, you can say, okay, I want to make $1.50. That means, and it'll tell you, you're going to make 25 cents, which is a this much margin. You're going to sell to the distributor. Oh, there's a distributor too, and a broker, and then the retailer.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. So then you start seeing how it can get chipped away and how you really have to think way, because you can't really raise your prices super high after you get them onto the shelf. So initially we were lucky to have started with pricing our product so that we could, planning in the distributor and the broker to the retailer.
Mhm.
So long story short, the amount of product, so the buy local program was a program where they don't actually bring your product to like a couple skids into their warehouse. You actually have to go to each individual store and sell the product to the manager. So you say, hey, we're listed with buy local. Do you want to try this product? This is why it's awesome. Here's some samples. So you kind of, most stores don't really have a lot of shelf space, because remember, retail stores, especially like Save On Foods, their shelf space is real estate, and it's super expensive real estate. And so you better have something good that's going to make them money
Right.
and that the customer is going to like. That's, number one. They want to, the customer is always number one. So, yeah, at the end of the day, we kind of had somewhat control over how much product, because we could go from store to store. It's as you grow out of like buy local programs like we are now, and you list with like, say, Sobeys, and you're going to be in the warehouse. So that's when you're not really sure about numbers. So you got to be flexible, and you got to have enough cash to, get the supply, all that
Right.
kind of planning.
So you mentioned cash, and you mentioned, you have to go to store by store by store, and it's just you and April. So like at the very beginning, I guess, how did you manage to like support the entire operations of growing into several savons, and like the two of you going around, making sure all the savons has all the products that you need, and like what did you do to I guess to make the ends meet?
Yeah, so I mean, it was interesting. So reaching out to our connections like you, right? Like in the beginning, we needed to, like, Save On wants you to be out there promoting your product. So they want you to do farmers markets. There's only so many of you, right? So you reach
Right.
out to your friends and your family. I had my kids doing the White Rock Farmers Market. I had my mother-in-law doing Clayton, and then I begged and pleaded with you to do Coquitlam sometimes, right? And then like just friends, my sister-in-law, she would help out sometimes. My brother-in-law, he would help out. Like we would all just help out. Yeah, and it's just like it's really just bootstrapping, just being really comfortable with just doing whatever it takes to just, and just working really hard, like, just putting the time and effort into it, like getting up early and making sure you have all your samples and they're all perfect and wonderful and everything's in there. And
Mhm.
then having a really strong follow-up program, got to be organized. I think that's a big one, really organized, especially in food, because, you've got to make sure that there's so much to think about, besides just producing your product. You have to have lot numbers, and you have to know where all the ingredients come from. And, there's a lot to think about. It's a very mindful thing.
Right, perfect. Yeah, no, I loved helping you out at the Coquitlam Farmers Market. I remember like telling people, "Oh, you should take a shot of this. This is awesome." No, that was really fun. Yeah, so I mean, that was like kind of like in the stage where you had a few like Savons interest in your product and you asked
Yeah,
all your family and friends. And then what's next? Because right now you're no longer doing that,
right.
right? So how did you go from, I guess, trying to figure out all your products in the kitchen, you doing everything yourself, to now, like, can you share how many retailers are selling your products now?
Yeah, so first of all, we started out with our ACV concentrates, right? And then last year, just before COVID, we launched Tribe ACV, and we kind of put the concentrates aside because, when you're scaling a product, uh, it's so cash intensive. They call it a pay for play, right? And it's true, it is pay for play. When you launch into, and this is why the planning is really, really important, and knowing your margins and understanding your financials and just having a business plan that you can look at, and goals and projections, because the bottom line is that the pay for play. So if we launch, say, into list into, I don't know, Sobeys, there's a listing fee, there's free fills, which is free product. So actually it costs you money to put your product in there. First, you're writing them a check and giving them product and saying, here. And then you're hoping and praying that whatever you do to promote the product and the product itself sells. So of course there's a lot of negotiating with positioning, and you pay for it all. So you've got to be really prepared for that. So yeah, the bottom line is, like, now, we launched Tribe last year. We sort of put the ACV concentrates aside because we could see that Tribe was going to be just, really just taking a lot of our cash and time, and just everything, all of our resources.
And can you share a little bit of what Tribe is?
Yeah. So Tribe is sparkling apple cider vinegar beverage. It has 2 grams of sugar per can, 15 mils of apple cider vinegar per can. It's sort of like sparkling water with just a hint of natural essence flavor and apple cider vinegar. And you really don't taste the apple cider vinegar. And that's a beautiful thing about it. It's in there. So it's a functional beverage, and it's really delicious. There's 3 flavors. And as I say, we launched that back in February of 2020, just before COVID.
Right. And what made you pivot from, I guess, a concentrate to this Tribe sparkling drink?
Yes. So, so we decided that we were at actually a CHFA, and it's a trade show. And we knew that at the time in 2018, 2019, that the ACV concentrates were very niche. There's only a certain amount of people that are going to take this product, a little more expensive too. They're $8.99 on the shelf in a bigger bottle, right? Take it home and take, 2 tablespoons and put it in their water every day. So it's not like a grab and go where it's like, you just go in and you pick up your lunch and you just grab, a beverage. So we were at a CHFA and we're there with our concentrates, and we noticed just down the aisle there's this La Croix. It's this company, and it's like selling sparkling water with a little bit of essence, and people are going crazy for it. And we're like, what is that? Like, seriously? And so in my head, I'm thinking, no kidding. Wow, that is crazy. Because I love La Croix too, and I love the idea. And I'm thinking, why couldn't you just, up the ante on La Croix and add a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there, and then it becomes a functional beverage. You just would have to make it taste good. So I at that point I was thinking, people are really looking for just refreshing simplicity, and they want low sugar, and they want really low flavor. Like, this is what customers want, right? You notice that with La Croix. So we left there and we were like inspired. We're like, we're going to make that happen. We're going to make a ready to drink. And so yeah, we left there and formulated the first Tribe ACV in my kitchen again. And then we decided that, okay, this would be a really mass product. We're going to need to, have it professionally formulated. So we did. And at the same time, we were working with investors.
Right.
So that sort of changes your company as well. They have input in what you are doing. And we had a couple of investors, but our main investor at that point really wanted us to just focus on just the sparkling beverage, because this was going to have a bigger market pull than our concentrates. So
Right.
that's how
And
you pivot from that to that.
yeah, so you mentioned that you pivoted right before the pandemic and COVID. So how did you feel any impact at all about the COVID and about the pandemic, or like what happened? And
Oh
like a
yeah.
lot of the small businesses are like, you know, severely impacted by COVID in a negative way. So
Mhm.
like what was your experience like?
You know, so we launched Tribe in February at the CHFA with Horizon Foods, and we did amazing at the CHFA. Thank goodness. We were chosen as a top 3 product by Muscle Magazine, which was great. That gave us great exposure. We were listed with the UBC Healthy Beverage Initiative, which was a really big deal too, because basically it means that you're in all the campus food places at UBC, but also it opens up the doors to all the other universities across Canada, right? So we were like, wow, what a huge market. So that was exciting. And it also positioned our product like, you know, somebody just gave it a stamp of approval, like is just amazing. Like we know it's amazing, and it's always great to get that extra little stamp of approval. So we were quite excited about that. And we pulled in some really good orders from that show. Horizon was really happy with us. And then bang, COVID hit. And of course, you know what happened with grocery, right? Grocery stores were so focused on just keeping the essentials and keeping their staff, you know, safe, that they didn't care about functional beverages or anything. They were buying pasta and spaghetti sauce, right?
Oh,
That kind of thing. So, and we were new with our distributor, and literally we did not hear from them for probably 2 months. So we were like, wow, we got all this inventory now, and we've got to try and sell it, and we put all this money into it, you know, and so what we did, we just leaned on our, you know, all of our contacts, our relationships. So April would get on the phone and talk to the managers from Save On, you know, after hours, or email them. Like this is a couple months after sort of things really were crazy. We left them alone. And they were like, wow, we want to support you guys. Like bring us in some samples. I'll get you listed. So we got listed in, I think, for the first between March and November, I think we got listed in 100 stores.
wow.
That was just us really pushing and calling and dropping these off and calling in favors and asking and pleading and begging, that kind of thing. Not even really doing that, actually, just really just bringing our product to their attention. And you know, also calling out the fact that there's never been a better time to promote a product that, you know, promotes health and gut health. At this time, right? People are really focused on, you know, hey, it's important to be healthy. Like 70% of your viral fighting capabilities comes from your gut.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically how we did it. Bootstrapping.
And a year in, I guess, we're what? Wow, we're more than a year into the pandemic now. Like, you know, we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. You know, so well, so while we were preparing for this event, your company was known as Route 18 Real Foods, and then now it's being rebranded. So so yeah, so I guess can you share about like what's your plan now? What was the story behind the rebranding? And what are the exciting news coming up next?
Yes, crazy. So on our journey there after COVID, we were in the midst of working with these investors, and there was one specific investor, and this company investor loved Tribe ACV, was like all about it, and we were sort of going back and forth. Of course, COVID hit, and we didn't hear from him for a bit, but then after a few months, we reached out again, and he was really blown away that we could get ourselves into like that many stores in that short of time during COVID, and so long story short, we also had a chance to take a look at our business plan, and we thought, okay, we've ditched the ACV concentrates, and there was another innovation that we had started working on. That's super exciting innovation that we're going to launch sometime in September. It's like top secret. And we just thought, geez, it's going to be really hard to fund and finance all of this stuff that we've started. And we put together a proposal to sell Tribe ACV to this investor. And lo and behold, they accepted it. And I think that it's almost like watch out for what you wish for. It might come true. It did. And we had to sit down and go, wow, now that this is actually happening, like, how do we feel about this? So we thought, okay, we've got to decide. And because of this new innovation that we're so excited about, and you know, needing to focus time, effort, and resources on specific things, we decided to sell Tribe. And so we sold Tribe to a company called Repeat Investments. And they're the new Tribe team, awesome team. I'm working with them for the next 3 months just to create a smooth transition. So we're really collaborating with each other. They're excellent people. And of course, they're a much bigger company. So that's really cool for me, because now I get to sit with this bigger team and see how they do things, and see how they're like actually, you know, blowing their listings up and shelves, and like how they do it. And it's just, it's quite impressive. So now, as I say, we've rebranded. We also sold our brand name Route 18, Real Food. So we changed our company name to Lula Natural Foods. Truthfully, Lula was just a name that we all really just liked and just gravitated to. And there wasn't really any strong reason. We found out afterwards that it actually, Lula means female warrior or something.
Oh, wow, that suits you in
this has been
April.
quite the journey, and it probably fits us well. So we are a female-owned company, so it works.
It's
And
all meant to be.
yeah, right. And so now we are in the midst of, I don't want to say rebranding. We're going to add ACV every day. We've just registered trademark for that, and we're going to put a lot more love and time and effort into ACV concentrates. We have some new reformulations and a new SKU we're launching next month.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, we're excited for that. Yeah. So you mentioned a lot about investors, right? Along your journey, you know, people are helping you out and things like that. So I guess for somebody who is starting a beverage company, or somebody who is launching a product, I guess, like, do you have any advice on like when should they get an investor involved? Because you also mentioned that, you know, when an investor gets to be involved, they have a say now, right? And it's no longer your company, it's no longer like you, whatever you want to do. So do you have advice on when they should get involved?
Yes, absolutely. So not too early.
And when you say not too early, is like, do you have a,
you know, don't bring on an investor because you want to pay yourself more. Let's put it that way. Bring on an investor because you want to finance and fund the scaling of your product. You need to get more inventory, and really, you know, be mindful about the investors that you're working with, that they have, you know, or understand what you're doing. That's super important. You know, for me, I was in the real estate industry, so I know all sorts of investors, and you know, those investors, they don't really understand what we're doing, so it's difficult to work with them, really. And it's hard for them too, right? Because they don't really get the beverage industry. I think that a really good piece of advice would be, I took the spring roundtable a couple of years ago. I wish I would have taken it earlier, and it was the best thing I've ever done. It just shone this light of like, this is what it's like to bring on an investor, and it gets a whole bunch of people together, and you can talk about it and you can dive into it. And Keith Appel, of course, is always, you know, right there. The best thing I've ever done in regards to learning about what it's like to bring on an investor, and when you should bring on an investor, and how it impacts your company. Right? Yeah, spring all the way.
Well, yeah. So for you guys who are listening, Spring has their events, and they're still very active in the local community. So check them out. Yeah, it sounds like they benefited Rhoda a lot. Yeah, great. So I guess now we can, before we dive into kind of like the flavors and the recipe and the fun stuff, if somebody wants to, you know, grab a bottle of your product, where can they go?
Oh, they can go to Save on Foods. They can go to Nature's Fair, Whole Foods. There's all sorts of little stores that carry us, smaller, just one of, we just launched into a country grocer on the island, Western Foods on the island. We have a bunch of new listings. Yeah, and of course, as I say, we've got, like, you know, northern stores, smaller one-ofs. Check out our website or connect with us. It's growing every day.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's dive into the flavors.
Yes.
I remember when I met you, we had so many different flavors, and then now we're stuck with the three major ones. So I
Exactly.
think for somebody who wants to start a product or a company, like a beverage company, right? Like, what makes you decide what are the flavors that you keep and what are the flavors that you invent? And like, like we know food companies who are trying all sorts of flavors every month, for example, like, and they're just rotating in and out. On the back end, there's a lot of logistics with, like, you have to make it and ingredients and everything, right? So what was the process like on deciding the three flavors that you ended up having? And first of all, what are they? And then like what make them unique and, to be the winner?
Yeah, so customer development, absolutely 100%, like get behind it and just ask your customers and look at the sales and ask people, when we were at the farmers market, it was great. Like, what do you like best, right? And they would
Yeah.
just tell you, and it was really obvious, like which ones like shone, right? So of course, our number one flavor, and is definitely not everybody's favorite, is the turmeric ginger peach, right?
Yeah.
It's a really strong, crazy flavor. It's different. You either love it or you hate it. But it's really, for me, I mean, I love it. It's delicious. And it's got a ton additional benefits to it because of the turmeric in it and the ginger. So honing down the flavors, as I say, just listen to your customers and then also listen to your retailers. How many flavors do you want to put on your shelf? And every retailer we talked to said 3,
Oh.
right? Maybe 4. If you got a 4-pack, we'll take 4. But you've got to think about the real estate in stores, like how many will they take? They're not going to let you have like 15 flavors. They're going to want 3, 2 or 3. They don't like 1. They really don't like 1. They like 3. 3 is like the magic number, it seems.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I thought the flavors is just because you feel like, oh, they're great. I don't know which one to take out anymore, so I'm gonna keep all 3. But it sounds like you have to really listen to your market and your customers and retailers, like those people who are actually buying your products.
Right, exactly.
Right. Perfect. All right. Okay. So for those who are listening, if you have a experience package like what we do, usually you have 2 bottles included in your box. There are 2 out of the 3 flavors that I guess I want to say, oh, Viv is ready. We wanted to kind of like try it and encourage everybody to take shots with us, just because that's how I started with the products. Is people are like, you're supposed to dilute this with water. I'm like, wait, what? I've always been taking shots. So what's happening? Yeah. So Rhoda, like, I think we can start with the turmeric because that's my favorite. For those who have it at home, you can like try to drink it. It's a little bit bigger. So you want to talk about like what to look for when you take a shot? Should we take a shot? What's the deal?
So there's 2 servings in 1 bottle. So this is a 60 ml bottle. So 30 mils is like perfect serving. Really, apple cider vinegar is taken best if you're having a high glycemic meal. You take it, with your meal. If you're in the morning time, you take it on an empty stomach. So basically the turmeric ginger peach, all the ginger and the turmeric and stuff goes to the bottom. Give it a little shake. Shelf stable. It doesn't have to stay in the fridge, but it tastes really good coming out of the fridge. So I always use a shot glass in the morning. I don't know. I just like it. I mean, I like, these little bottles, and this is another thing. We're changing our shot bottles up to something with a bigger mouth. Really difficult to find good shot bottles. So yeah, bottoms up.
Right.
And again, because it's vinegar, be prepared. Sometimes your gag reflex, right, Caddy? Like you'll be at the farmer's market and you'll have like, some elderly person come up and just drink it down, or a little kid, and it just does them in. Your gag reflex. So just be ready for it. I always warn people, just do it slow a little bit at first, and then just bottoms up.
All right. Cheers, guys.
So it's got a really warming sensation.
It's actually my favorite.
And it's vinegar, so you still get that acidic kind of feel to it, but it's not overly.
Yeah.
It's the kind of acidity that doesn't burn your esophagus. It's diluted enough. But yeah, I love the flavor of this product. The ginger is really like pronounced.
Yeah.
Because we go heavy on the ginger juice, because ginger juice is so soothing for your gut. So not only do you get that amazing prebiotic, action from the acetic acid, And just from the actual mother, you get the ginger, the soothing ginger. This is a really good aperitif too, by the way. So if you've had a big meal and you want to just kind of calm your tummy down, when we do Feast of Fields every year, Feast of Fields, people go out, they eat tons, they come and they see us last and they have a shot, and it just helps
Nice.
soothe the gut.
All right. I finished the whole thing. It's 2 shots,
I
but
love it.
it is what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I've
It's
been
all
having
good.
these products for years, so I think I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm not gonna just keep drinking, so I think that would be too much vinegar for me for the
It is
day.
too much. But you can add it to sparkling water too.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, you can do that too if you want to. And just
So
kind of sip on it.
So the one that you're having over there is the raspberry version?
Yeah, that's a raspberry.
Right.
Super simple.
Raspberry is my husband's favorite, actually.
Oh,
he dilutes it with water, and he's just like, oh, this is like juice, but no sugar. Right. So he has been
really
drinking
mild.
that. And we have, so Viv, what are you having? Cherry cardamom. Oh, so we have the last flavor, which is the cherry cardamom.
Yes. Love that one. That's my favorite, actually.
The influencer
favorite.
style. So how did you so cherry and cardamom, like, their sound is so different. Like, what is cherry and cardamom like what is so special about that flavor?
Yeah, so cherry, and we use dark organic cherries to make this product, and plenty of it. And we actually started working with a food scientist, and he said, there's enough cherry juice in here to actually turn it into a natural health product if you wanted to. And you could even call out the fact that it's good for gout. Like, we could actually do that with our products. These two actually could be natural health products based on the amount of ingredients, the active ingredients. But the cherry and the cardamom, this just makes it's just sort of a vanilla, almost like undertone. I find that people that are, really into like not drinking these days, that's like a whole new thing. Like, a lot of people have just ditched alcohol, that this feels kind of special, and it's got that extra, layer of flavor from the cardamom. It's not just cherry. So it makes it a little bit more, it's just not as plain. So it feels a little more special when you're pouring into like a nice glass and you're enjoying it that way. So
like
and also you're getting the benefits of the ACV on top of
nice.
it, right? Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm having a great time. I mean, I've had vinegar. I think I'm ready to go now for the day. Yeah,
you guys are revved.
They're still working on it.
I love it. Oh, that one though. Oh, she's polished off a bit though. Love it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So I think we can kind of like dive into questions if there's any. If not, like, any kind of, like, it has been a wild journey for you, Rhoda. Like, I've heard bits and pieces now. So now today is a good time to actually hear the whole story.
Yes.
Like, any, I guess, advice or any like lessons that you learned along the journey for somebody who is interested in, let's say, launching a product and hoping one day to getting themselves into Save-Ons and Whole Foods and Sobeys?
Yeah, well, it's all about the hustle. And I guess, one of the things that I've learned, and I think that initially when I first started out, I was very serious, and, my real estate background sort of made me that way, I think. Don't take yourself too seriously. Like, just ease up on yourself, and I think that at the end of the day, you need to have fun with what you're doing. Like, if you don't enjoy it, forget it. You're not going to get anywhere, and you're not going to connect with people. You're not going to create exciting products. It's got to come from that inspiration, right? And as I say, I think, like, really back yourself up with knowledge. Join the spring roundtable if you think that you're going to be moving towards bringing on investors. Don't do it blindly, because there's always such hard lessons to be learned that way, right? Because that's how I learned. Right? So yeah, don't do that blindly. It's too big of a deal. Just reach out and get the information, and yeah, definitely, like, load yourself up with knowledge.
Yeah, I
reach
mean,
out, ask questions constantly. Don't be ashamed to ask questions. Like, ask everybody, anybody. For
yeah,
sure.
and if you want to know knowledge and trying to figure out how to run startups or business, while you're at Vancouver Startup Week. So, you have like 4 days of event, and this is my plug. Yeah, so okay, that's really good to know. And it has been amazing talking to you. I mean, it's always a pleasure talking to you,
Oh,
Rhoda.
thank you.